Okay guys, so good evening, and what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be using radio buttons or radio groups in Android Studio. So the first thing that we will be doing is we'll be going to our design and delete this default hello world. Go to our code. We will be changing this into relative layout. So let's go ahead and change this. And then what we're gonna be doing is we will be putting in a simple radio group on our design. So let's go ahead and split our screen so that we could see what we are changing. So the first thing that we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be adding a radio group. Okay, so this will actually be matching the parent in the width and then wrapping the content on the height. Okay, so inside the radio group, what we're gonna be doing is we will be adding radio buttons. So let's add a radio button. So for this one, we will go ahead, the width will be matching the parent and then wrapping the content. And then let's add in an ID for it. ID is equals to at ID RDB1. Then let's close this one. Let's add a text. Text will be option 1. So what we're gonna be doing is we'll be copy pasting this for two more radio buttons. This is gonna be radio button 2 and this is gonna be radio button number 3. This is gonna be option number 2 and this is going to be option number 3. So we will be adding also a button, and the button will identify which option is currently checked. So we will add a button, and this is going to be matching the parent in the width and then wrapping the content. And since we are in the relative layout, let's lay it out below our radio group. So let's add a ID to our radio group. So let's add in Android ID is equals to at ID RDG1. This is going to be the name of our radio group so that we could actually place RDG1. There we go. And then we will also add an ID to our radio group. Let's put in at ID BTN check. So the button will be checking which or what is the currently checked radio button on our radio group. So let's go ahead and add a text, and the text will be simple check. There we go. So we will be picking in our radio buttons. Now we could actually have it checked already if we want to, if just in case we have the radio buttons being used, but let's go ahead and try to see what it looks like when we do play or we run the program. Okay, so we have a radio button right now, and if we click the check, our program will identify which radio button is currently checked in our program. So let's go ahead and go to our code. Okay, so we could actually set one of the radio button to be already checked upon opening. So let's go ahead and set this one, Android status checked is equals to true. So this would mean that the option number 1 will be automatically checked as we run the program, so we have a default value. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our main activity.java. So since we do have a radio group that we are currently using, so we will need to declare everything on our program. Okay, so the first thing that we will be doing is first activate our radio group. There we go. This is going to be RDG for the radio group. Okay, and find view by ID r.id dot rdg1. There we go. And let's go ahead and also declare our radio button. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in radio button rdb is equals to find view by ID, and I'm gonna be adding in radio ID. Okay. Now, what we'll be doing with the radio ID is we will be declaring radio ID as a variable so that it will be able to identify which radio button is currently checked. So I'm gonna go and type here rdg dot get check radio button ID. Okay, so in default it's going to be identifying which radio button is currently checked. So let's go ahead and also declare our button. So btn check is equals to find view by ID r.id dot btn check. There we go. So when we click the button, it will identify which radio ID is currently checked by checking it on our variable radio ID. Okay, so here's what we will be doing. I think we don't need the radio ID anymore. I think we could actually have it removed. Okay, let's try to remove this one. There we go. Let's try to use this code. Okay, so let's go ahead and activate the btn check. Set on click listener, new, view on click listener. So what it will do is it will identify which radio button is currently clicked. Okay, so if rdg dot get checked radio button ID is equals to r.id dot rdb1. Okay, and then this will what it will do. Else if rdg dot get checked radio button ID is equals to r.id dot rdb2. Here's what it will do. And the last one, else if rdg dot get checked radio button ID is equals to r.id dot rdb3. And here's what it will do. So we will just go ahead and make a toast. So type in toast dot make text, and then main activity dot this, and display the message. Message is rdb1, and then set the toast dot length short, and then dot show. There we go. So we're gonna go ahead and copy this one and replace it with a different RDB. So this indicates number 2 and this indicates number 3. So this is a very simple code. So the button is only checking if we have the radio button currently, what radio button is currently checked on our program. So let's go ahead and play or run our simple program. So option 1, click RDB1, RDB2, RDB3. So this is a simple code on using radio buttons and identifying which radio button is currently checked in our program.